Have you ever felt like a ghost in your own life? Like you're watching yourself go through the motions, work, eat, sleep, repeat, but you're not really there? Your life feels like a movie you're forced to watch, but you're not the one holding the camera. That was me. For months, I was stuck in a thick, quiet fog of stress and frustration. On the outside, everything looked fine, like a house with all the lights on. But on the inside, there was nobody home. It turns out I wasn't alone. A 2025 study from the Canadian Men's Health Foundation found that a staggering 64% of men report feeling moderate to high levels of stress. Yet, there's a good chance they won't talk about it. I was one of them, until I decided I couldn't live in the gray anymore. I had to know if I could find my own way out. So I made a deal with myself. 30 days. 30 days of trying simple, daily tactics to see if I could actually change my own mind. Section 1. The Decision. The breaking point wasn't some big, dramatic explosion. It was a Tuesday morning. I was standing in my kitchen, staring at a coffee mug, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time I felt genuinely happy. The days just blended together into one long, monotonous hum of anxiety. My work felt meaningless. My hobbies were gathering dust, and my patience was shot. I was irritable and distant, and I didn't like the person I was becoming. That quiet frustration that had been simmering for so long finally boiled over. It was a cold, hard realization. Nothing was going to change unless I changed it. Waiting for the fog to lift on its own just wasn't working. The cultural script that tells men to just suck it up wasn't just unhelpful, it was making things worse. Ignoring the problem was like seeing your car's check engine light come on and deciding to just put a piece of tape over it. It was the problem, and right there, in my kitchen, I decided to fight back. Not with some grand gesture, but with an experiment. A 30-day personal challenge. I wasn't aiming for perfection. I was just aiming for better. I wanted to see if a few small, intentional actions done every single day could create a real shift in my mental state. It felt both terrifying and like the first real breath of fresh air I'd taken in months. Section 2. The Plan. I knew if this was going to work, I needed a plan. Something simple, practical, and most importantly, something I could actually stick with. I wasn't trying to become a monk or a marathon runner overnight. I was just trying to build a toolkit to navigate my own head. After doing some research, I settled on 5 core daily habits. First up, mindfulness. Just 5 minutes of guided meditation each morning. The goal wasn't to magically empty my mind, but to learn to watch my thoughts go by like cars on a busy street, without having to jump into traffic with them. Second, movement. No crazy gym sessions, just a 30-minute walk. Every single day. Think of it like hitting a reset button for your body's chemistry. The evidence is clear that physical activity boosts your mood. Third, journaling. Before bed, 10 minutes of writing down whatever was on my mind. No rules. The point was to do a mental declutter, to get the junk out of my head and onto paper, like cleaning out the attic of your mind so you can actually find things again. Fourth, connection. 1 meaningful interaction a day. A real phone call to a friend, a proper conversation with a family member, anything but texting. Social connection is a huge buffer against isolation. It's like plugging a lamp back into the wall when it's been running on low batteries. And fifth, sleep. This was a big one. I committed to a regular sleep schedule. This meant creating a dark, quiet room and putting my phone away an hour before bed. This is your brain's nightly repair crew, and I had been sending them home early for years. That was it. My 5-point plan. It didn't seem like much, but it felt like my lifeline. This was day 1 of going from passively enduring my life to actively trying to improve it. Section 3. The journey begins. The first week was, to put it mildly, a failure. A spectacular, clumsy failure. Waking up 5 minutes earlier for meditation felt like a monumental task. I'd sit there, eyes closed, and my mind would just race with to-do lists and a nagging voice telling me how ridiculous this was. Trying to quiet my thoughts felt like trying to calm a hornet's nest by poking it with a stick. The daily walk was a little better. At least I was moving. But most of the time, I'd just pop in my headphones and zone out, my thoughts still churning with the same old stress. And the journaling. That was the worst. My first few entries were just angry, rambling complaints. It felt self-indulgent and pointless. I'd stare at the blank page, scribble a few frustrated sentences and slam the book shut, feeling even more hopeless. It felt like I was just giving my negativity more oxygen. My old habits were like a powerful current, always pulling me back out to sea. The pull to scroll on my phone instead of calling a friend was massive. The urge to watch one more episode instead of going to bed was a nightly battle. My own self-doubt was the loudest voice in the room, telling me this was all a waste of time. There were moments I was ready to quit, convinced I was just broken and these little tricks weren't going to fix me. Section 4. Small victories. But somewhere around day 8 or 9, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt, it was a whisper. During my daily walk, I left my headphones at home, and for the first time, I just walked. I noticed the way the light hit the buildings. I heard the birds. For a few minutes, the constant noise in my head actually quieted down. It was a small victory, but it was mine. The meditation started to feel less like a punishment and more like a pause. I was still distracted, but I was learning to gently bring my focus back. This simple act of redirecting my attention felt powerful, like I was training a muscle. Journaling started to change too. I stopped trying to write something profound and just wrote the truth. Today was hard. I'm worried about this project. I felt a moment of peace on my walk. Just acknowledging my feelings on paper, giving them a name, started to take away some of their power. It's like turning on the light to see the monster in the closet is just a pile of clothes. The phone calls were still awkward, but then I had a real 20-minute conversation with an old friend. We didn't solve any of my problems, but for those 20 minutes, I felt connected. I felt seen. These weren't magic cures, but they were glimmers of light. They were proof that my efforts weren't a total waste. Section 5. The climax. Then came week 3, and with it, the storm. It was the kind of week where everything that could go wrong did. A high-stakes project at work imploded, I got into a stupid argument with someone I care about, and an unexpected bill showed up. The old me would have shut down completely. I would have retreated deep into the fog, drowning my stress in mindless distractions and snapping at anyone who came near me. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. The urge to abandon the entire experiment was overwhelming. That voice of self-doubt was back, and it was screaming, "See, this is useless. You failed." I remember standing in my living room that night feeling the full weight of it all. I was so close to giving up. But then, something else kicked in. It was the faint echo of the habits I'd been building. Instead of collapsing onto the couch, I put on my shoes and went for a walk. Not a calm, mindful walk. It was an angry, fast-paced walk. I just walked until my legs burned and my head cleared, just a little. When I got home, I didn't turn on the TV. I opened my journal, and I wrote it all down. The anger, the fear, the disappointment. I filled 3 pages with raw, unfiltered emotion. Then, exhausted, I went to bed at my scheduled time. I didn't wake up fixed, but I woke up okay. The problems were still there, but they felt manageable. By forcing myself to use my new tools, even when I least wanted to, I had navigated the storm instead of letting it sink me. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just a silly experiment anymore. It was working. Section 6. The transformation. The final week felt different. The daily practices weren't a chore anymore. They were my anchors. The morning meditation set a calm tone for the day. The daily walk became a non-negotiable break for my mind. The journal was now a trusted friend. The fog hadn't vanished entirely, but it had thinned. I could see patches of sunlight. The biggest change wasn't the absence of stress. That's just part of life. The biggest change was my belief that I could handle it. I was building resilience. Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about being like a tree that grows stronger roots every time the wind blows. I started to feel more present. I was laughing more. I was more engaged in conversations. I felt like the main character in my own story again, not a bystander. Pushing through the hard parts had given me a sense of self-respect I hadn't felt in a long time. I was rediscovering the person I was underneath all the stress. Section 7. The New Me. On day 30, I looked back at my first journal entry. The person who wrote those words felt like a stranger. He was lost, hopeless, and trapped. While I still have bad days, I'm no longer that person. I'm not cured, because mental health isn't a disease with a cure. It's a part of our health that needs consistent care, just like a physical injury. This 30-day journey taught me that I have some control over my own mind. These simple tools, mindfulness, movement, journaling, connection, sleep, they are my toolkit now. They are my way of taking charge. The darkness isn't some monster you have to slay in a single, epic battle. It's more like the weather. Some days will be stormy, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have a damn good umbrella and a sturdy pair of boots. I know how to walk through the rain. CTA. If any of this resonated with you, if you've ever felt lost in that fog, please know you are not weak and you are definitely not alone. It takes incredible strength to even face these feelings. So I'm curious, what is one small thing you could try just for a week to take care of your own mental health? Maybe it's a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Let me know in the comments. Reading through your ideas helps all of us. Conclusion. This journey wasn't about finding a magic bullet. It was about discovering that small, consistent actions are the secret to real change. It's about building a life where you feel equipped to handle the hard days instead of being buried by them. Taking that first small step is an act of strength. It's the most important step on the road from dark to light. Thank you for watching.